Hi, I'm back. This video is going to be about fountain pen ink. And this is an about fountain pen ink for newbies. If you're an old hat to fountain pens, um, don't watch. No, not really. Thanks for watching. But I wanted to go through some ink for newbies. And I don't know if I have any fountain pen user subscribers, but I hope I do, because some more of my videos and things, I mean, a lot of them are about paper and reviews and things like that, but I haven't really done much on fountain pens, and I don't know why, because I'm a total fountain pen addict. I have a wee little problem. You can see the cup there, and don't send me anything about complaining about that I keep my fountain pens in a cup. I have not found a case that I like. I'm working on getting a case because I'm getting a lot more nice fountain pens. These two are Lamey Safaris, and I'm always going to say it Lamey. Don't send me hate mail about that either. Pilot Vanishing Point, other Lamey Safari, Kaweco Sports. But as I'm getting more fountain pens, I'm realizing the need for a fountain pen case, and I get that. But also, there was sort of a stall between 10 fountain pens, and now obviously I need the 20, and perhaps maybe I need a couple of 20 cases, which I really didn't anticipate that happening. Anyway, my whole point was, please don't send me hate mail about keeping them in a cup. I use them every day, and it's really, really convenient. I realize that I need a case. I get that. I'm working on it. Okay, fountain pen ink for newbies. It's very hard to choose sometimes when there are, the Goulet Pen Company. I'll link, if I talk about a site, I'll link it below for you, okay, so you can find stuff. The Goulet Pen Company has now, 600 and some odd inks. Jet Pens also carries inks. Todd at iSell Pens carries ink, not a whole huge variety, and Jet Pens doesn't carry a huge variety either. If you're looking for a big variety of ink, I recommend the Goulet Pen Company because not only do they have a huge variety of ink, they sample all of them. So if they carry an ink, you can also buy a sample of ink, which is a fantastic way, newbies, to get started. This is what it looks like. This has had some used out of it, so you get a tad more than this. It's somewhere around 2 milliliters from Goulet. It's 3 milliliters from Todd at iSell Pens, so that's up to you. This is certainly enough for a pen fill. It's certainly enough to dip and see if you like it. This happens to be Noodler's Tiananmen. It was not one of my favorites, but I have probably 50 of these little vials, and it's, as much as samples are, it's a lot better than buying 50 bottles of ink and then finding out that you hate the majority of them, because I've probably, off of samples, purchased maybe 10 bottles of ink. And I have, like I said, probably in the neighborhood of 50 to 60 samples, and have had probably more than that. Sometimes I send samples to friends. So this is an excellent way to get started, to try all sorts of inks in a very inexpensive way. And sometimes Goulet has a sale on their samples. I know Todd at iSell Pens has a sale on samples right now, so it's an even better time to sample inks. And just sample like crazy. And as fountain pen people will tell you, sampling inks is super, super fun. So do it anyway. There's another one that's a Private Reserve Orange Crush, but that's the way they all come. Some of them come with different colored caps. I might have one right here to show you. Look, there's a whole box full of samples. Last time I bought from Todd at iSell Pens, that's Poussière de Lune, J.R. Bond, or Poussière de Lune. You can see that there's just a lot more ink in that, and his come with green lids. It doesn't matter, it's the same vial, same thing, same concept. Okay, now brands. Where do you start with brands? Unless there's just a color you really love. I'm going to go through some of the top brands and some of the brands that I have and tell you the features of them and why I like them. I was going to say I can't tell you the first ink I bought, but I can. The first ink I bought was a Private Reserve. This is not it. And this is a different bottle. Private Reserve makes a different bottle now. I should have grabbed it and I didn't. That's right here. It's dusty. Private Reserve now comes in these taller bottles, which is nicer because when you're dipping a pen in there, it's easier. It's better to have a tall, skinny jar as opposed to a short, fat jar, because at some point you're going to have to tip this up to get the ink. This one is not going to be as bad about that. Private Reserve makes the ugliest labels on the planet as far as inks go, I think, but it's a good ink. My first ink was a Private Reserve. It was, I want to say Lake Placid. It was not Lake Placid Blue, but it was their lighter. It was a private reserve. It was one of the blues, and I've had the bottle for several years now. It's still fine. I have not had any problems with the regular private reserve ink. This is Fiesta Red. This is my favorite red ever. It's kind of a darker, kind of a black red, sort of, not as dark as Noodler's black red or Diamine Oxblood, but their ink is fabulous. I have had no problems with their ink, and their ink is inexpensive. So private reserve is a good way to go if you just want to try. Most of their inks are very saturated, like Noodler's, and there's something to talk about right there: saturation. There are some brands that are known for their saturation, such as Noodler's and Private Reserve, highly saturated inks. When I first started getting into fountain pens again and inks, I really craved that color, that saturation, and I bought a lot of inks that I would not buy today because my tastes in ink have changed. But Private Reserve runs in the neighborhood between $8 to $9 a bottle. It's inexpensive. It's the regular, what are these, 50 milliliter bottles? Their labeling is just hideously horrible. I don't know, 50 milliliter, 30 milliliter bottles. I honestly don't know, but if you go to the sites that I'm going to link for you here, they will tell you what size that is. But this is an inexpensive ink to start with. It's a good ink. I haven't had any problems. No, that's a lie. BC Super Show Blue is a beautiful, stunning, dark blue that has red sheen to it. It's gorgeous. It's sticky and gooey, and it's slow to dry, and it's a high maintenance ink. Okay. So when I first started, I really craved very highly saturated inks like Noodler's and Private Reserve. Noodler's comes in bottles like this. It's a fantastic ink bottle design. As you can see, there are drips down both labels, and I'll explain that in a minute. This is L. Lawrence for reference, and this is the infamous Bay State Blue, which I love. Don't fear Bay State Blue. If you've been scared away from it, buy a sample of it and try it. Just be careful with it, because it will stain. But I've never had a problem with it in a pen. And this is L. Lawrence. This is a bulletproof and eternal ink. A little smelly, but fabulously beautiful stuff. Very highly saturated inks, Noodlers are, and some of them can be dry. Some of them are more high maintenance than others. So caveat emptor with Noodlers, but it's fantastically beautiful ink. Be careful if you order a bottle of Noodlers, it'll come in a box, and then you get it. I throw the boxes away because they're sort of, they're not useful to me, and easy to break down, so I just throw them away. Noodler's bottles are full to the brim, and when I tell you they're full to the brim, I'm not kidding. These drips down the side and down the fronts of labels are because the bottle is so incredibly full when you open it that it's very easy to get drips down the label. It doesn't hurt anything, but just beware that when you open a bottle of Noodlers, it's going to be full. High value ink. Noodlers for a bottle like this is between $12 and $18 depending on the formulation. Some of the formulations are a little more expensive. That's okay. It's just more expensive ink to make is all. It's no big deal. Fantastic value, highly saturated inks. I don't use them as much as I used to. I used to be an almost completely Noodlers girl until recently. My taste in inks have changed as well as my taste in pens, and that will happen to you as well. When you first start out, what you think you're going to like is not necessarily what you end up liking. I have learned that I like a little more antique-looking, more ethereal-looking inks now than I did when I first started. Another really fantastic ink is Platinum Blue Black, and this ink is amazing. It's water resistant. It comes in this wee tiny little bottle, which is 30 cc's. I don't know what 30 cc's translates to, but it is an incredible ink, and this should be in everybody's ink stable. It's inexpensive. I think this was $8 for this bottle. I go through it like crazy. I love it. Fabulous ink. Very well behaved, water resistant. Just a good standard blue black. There's nothing super spectacular about the color, except that blue blacks are my favorite. They also make a black, which I use as well, which works just as well. Diamine is a very popular ink. I think most people say diamine. That feels funny to my mouth. I don't say it that way. Comes in a box that looks like this. Another really ugly label. Diamine makes ugly labels. Bottle design is okay. It works okay. The color is, make sure that's on so it's going on my computer, is listed on the top of the lid with a sticker. Diamine is a fantastic ink to start with. Some of their colors are very saturated, some not so much. I have not used a Diamine that was not well behaved, meaning that it has not clogged my pens, it has been an easy start, it has had good flow. Some of the Noodler's inks are not as well behaved and they're more high maintenance. Diamine, for the most part, is a very low maintenance ink. So if that turns your crank, check them out. They have, I don't know, in the neighborhood of 100 colors. So really easy to find something that you like. Um, Waterman inks. They used to come in this box. Waterman recently changed the names of their inks. They now come in this hideously ugly box right here. I only mention that because, and I don't even know why I have these in there. I don't usually save ink boxes. Well, that's a lie, because with J or Bond I save all the ink boxes because they're fantastic, but I'll show you that in a minute. Waterman has one of the most genius bottle designs on the market. They have this little tab here that flips up. Pull that. They have not changed, I don't think, the formulations on their ink, just the ink names, which is just stupid. But let me show you the difference in this bottle, because I think the label on the bottle is different too. Yeah, I actually like this bottle label better, but not the box label. This is Havana. This is their purple. They call it something. They call it Tender Purple. I don't know what it was called before, but Havana. All the new color names are just stupid. They really are. They make no sense. Have nothing to do with the color itself. But Waterman bottles are genius, and let me show you why. So let's pretend this is the table. Let's pretend you have a bottle of ink with this much ink left. You can tip these bottles on their side to get the very last bit of ink out and into your pen. This is not the only bottle that does this. There are some others that do this. Mont Blanc makes a really genius ink bottle, but Waterman makes one of the best ink bottles on the market. They make a fantastic ink. Waterman is not overly saturated. It flows well. I don't have one. I have the purple, I have Havana, I have blue black, the turquoise South Sea blue, black. The only ones I don't have are the red and the green. Excuse me. All of them very well behaved, very excellent flow. Waterman is a good value for the money. It's an excellent ink. Havana is not my favorite color, but I do use it. And Waterman is just another excellent place to start. They don't have a lot of inks. They have, what, like 7 or 8 colors or something? But what they have is really fantastic. Aurora. This is a very, I think, under-promoted ink. Aurora makes a really good ink. They make black and they make blue. They're both fabulous. If you're looking for a black, it's hard to beat Aurora Black. This is another really nice bottle design. You know, it's not flashy or anything, but it's a skinny, tall bottle, so fairly easy to get. Pardon me, the ink into your pen through this, although it is very deep, so sometimes that can kind of hinder you. There's no way to really set this on edge. I'm sorry, there's the front of it. Blue and black both equally fabulous. If you're looking for a black, Aurora is one of the best. Excellent flow, beautiful flow in Aurora inks. They are not remotely water resistant. However, the only water resistant black is Noodler's, waterproof, water resistant black that I've used. J. Bond Pearl Noir is also a beautiful black, but not water resistant. And that's not entirely true, because Platinum Carbon Black is also water resistant, but it has, look at Platinum Carbon Black, I'm not even going to go into it. Aurora Black and Aurora Blue, both are fantastic inks and well worth the money. It's just those two colors. Pardon me, I'm sorry. Goodness. I've saved my current favorite for very last, J. Bond. When I first started getting into fountain pens, I was so frustrated with this ink because it was all, I felt like it was like watery, and it is in a sense, because I haven't used a J. Bond that doesn't have a fantastic flow. I'll explain this ink bottle here in a second. And every box has a different picture on the front, so I should have gotten more down. I can't reach easily. Showing you a little bit about what the color is about. There's a color swatch on the top, which is useless. But the box is a good design. The bottle is not the best bottle design, but they're kind of neat. They have a pen rest right here. So for those, they make, this company makes a glass dip pen that you can then set. That pen is too fat. This is a Shaker Prelude, and it's not sitting there because it's too fat, but that's what that little, there you can sort of see that there's a little indentation right there. That's what that is. It's a pen rest for their glass pens. Their ink is fantastic. It is watery in that it flows really, really well. It's a good flowing ink, but it has that highly shading quality that makes it sort of an ethereal looking. Most of their colors are highly shading and beautiful, beautiful inks. And at this point, I own more J. Bond than I do anything else, and I'm purchasing more soon. I love it. You cannot go wrong with this ink. It will not hurt your pens. It's very, very pen friendly. This happens to be Violet Foncé, which is an amazing color. I could ink this, and Platinum Blue Black are my two favorite inks. I could ink most all of my pens with both of them and really never miss most of the other colors. But I have their Lidate, which is a beautiful brown. It has kind of green, stupid matte tints to it. I have Ombre de Bermanie. Forgive me, I don't speak French, so I get as close as I can, which is a sort of a golden color, better in a very wide nib. I have Cacao de Brazil, which is a sort of gray brown, which is fantastic, and that's what I run all of the time in my charcoal, Lamy, Lamy, whatever, Safari, always Cacao de Brazil. I have Blue Nuit. It seems like I'm missing something. Yes, Larme de Cassis. I don't know. It's a berry color. I think it's the English translation is Tears of Black Currant, and that's what's always inked in the pink Safari. So there's just a quick rundown of inks. You can't go wrong with Waterman, Platinum, Diamine, and Jaeger. You can go wrong with Noodlers because, and it's not Noodler's ink that I disagree with at all, but some of the inks are more labor intensive, and they're more finicky. So you can go wrong with Noodlers, so you need to be careful. It's not that that I don't like it, and not that I don't use them. Like I said, I even use the much beleaguered Bay State Blue. I don't leave it in any pens though. So if you're beginning, Waterman is a fantastic place to start. Diamine is a fantastic and safe place to start. Schaefer even is a good place to start. And Jaeger, do yourself a favor and buy some of these. They are fantastic. This is not the cheapest ink. This is a very small bottle. It's 30 milliliters, smaller than most. I think the Diamines are like 50 milliliter. That doesn't even sound right. I don't think that's right. 80 milliliters. See, I lied to you. The bigger bottles are 80 milliliters, so that's a big difference. These are like 12 or 12.50, depending on where you buy them. These are between like $8.90 and $9.75, depending on where you buy them. So it's a little more expensive. This stuff is worth every penny, really, honestly. I don't have any Iroshizuku because they have one color that I absolutely adore. I'm not going to try to say it in Japanese. It's the Old Man Winter, one of my absolute favorite inks. But their inks are incredibly expensive, and thankfully I have some samples that I'm still going through. But I don't buy any Iroshizuku. I don't have any Kuranda Dosh. I'm sorry. I don't have the more expensive inks, and it's not that there's anything wrong with them. It's just that I like more bang for my buck. Anyway, quick beginners, quick fountain pen ink, not so quick, I guess, 18 minutes introduction to inks. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask, and thank you for watching. See you soon.